Hi, my name is Chaise Latsha, and for my Women of Resistance final for the fall 2020 semester, I decided to focus on sex educator and artist Betty Dodson. I decided to focus on Betty Dodson because, for one, she recently died about a month ago on Halloween at the age of 91, but also because she is a very important role model for me. I would like to focus my master's degree on sexuality studies, so I feel like just getting to know more information about Betty Dodson, who was such a pioneer for autonomy and sexuality, is just a great foundation for what I want to learn later on. Before she was a big name in the feminist community, Betty Dodson was actually just a classical artist. She had many realistic drawings, some of which included those of people having sex, which she actually had an exhibit for and made a lot of money selling those drawings. So, after selling those drawings, she decided to do pieces of a large group of people having sex. So she went and watched a group of people have sex to base her drawings off of, and that's where she noticed there were a lot of women who were faking orgasms. This really affected Dodson because she had never faked an orgasm, and she said, quote, "Women not having orgasms, that was the worst thing in the world I could think of." So for her next exhibit, she chose to do drawings of people masturbating, including this one here. And this actually, there were 6 pieces in her exhibit, but the gallery owner only let her show 2 because he was furious that she would do something so taboo. And she actually didn't sell any of the drawings at this exhibit, and that's when she realized that sexuality, especially masturbation, is a big taboo in society. So not only did Dobson use her platform as an artist to depict people masturbating and acting in self-pleasure, she actually started writing books, including these ones here, and became an active member in the feminist community to fight for women's sexuality and just widespread exposure to women's bodies and genitalia. Additionally, she also directly opposed a lot of heteronormative things like matrimony because she felt they restricted women in their social and sexual rights. She actually was married multiple times, but ended up choosing to get divorced from most of those relationships because she didn't feel she could properly depict what she was writing and drawing about. Dodson was clearly a feminist and said, quote, "Sexual mobility is the same as social mobility. Men have it and women don't," end quote. What I would like to focus on now is what Betty Dodson is actually most well known for, and these are her sex workshops. These workshops are actually known worldwide, and women from across the globe attend them to get a better feeling for their own sexuality. So at these workshops, women basically come together, they sit in a room with Betty Dodson and her colleague Carlin, and they basically just undress and examine each other's vulvas to get a better look at what vaginas actually look like compared to what we assume they look like based on porn and the media. Then, after getting a better grasp of their autonomy, these women come together and have basically a group orgasm. Dodson gives them tips on sex toys and their clitoris and just gives them the resources they need to have the best orgasm possible. And then while in this group together, they surge off that energy and just completely be one with themselves and each other. It's actually been said that these workshops are 93% effective at giving women their autonomy back after traumatic events, and especially after just widespread media telling them that, sex is not their own choice. Through these workshops, I'd like to point out 3 common misconceptions about women's sexuality that Dodson directly resists. One is the misconception that women only want sex if it is A, procreative, or B, if men want it. This is completely not true, and Dodson has actually said that women are, quote, pleasure seekers, and also just have that hormonal want for sex and pleasure, and that's why we're given the clitoris and the G-spot. Basically, the idea that women only want sex for the reason men want it is based off the cult of true womanhood and the idea that women are not sexual creatures. The second misconception Dodson opposes is that all vulvas are supposed to look the same. This one is quite obvious, as I said that they all examine each other's vulvas to see that not all vulvas look the same, and they're completely unique to the person, and most body parts are like that, but we tend to follow prototypes in society for what things should look like. Lastly, Dodson just goes into anatomy itself and clarifies that vulvas and vaginas are not the same thing, even though it's a very common misconception, and this is actually because we refuse to talk about the vulva and the vagina because women's genitalia is just taboo itself, so why would we care to clarify what is what? As we can see, Betty Dodson is someone who knows how to use her platform as an artist and as someone in the feminist community to truly combat a lot of stereotypes and misconceptions about women's sexuality and to gain ground back just for women to have control of their sexuality and their bodies, even when society refuses to give it to them. She really is great at speaking out about taboos. These are my works cited. I used 3 online articles and a YouTube video. And unfortunately, as I said earlier, Betty Dodson did recently pass, but there's still a lot out there from her. There are those 4 books, and I believe she has a few others, which I've heard are really good reads, and there are a lot of YouTube channels from her colleague Carlin and just interviews she has done. So I highly recommend reading some of her stuff or watching it, and just feeling the liberation that we all deserve as women. Thank you again.